Hi, welcome to this demo of IBM Spectrum Protect and the new password security enhancements we're introducing in version 8.1.15. All of these enhancements are aimed at strengthening the security of our environment. And so the first enhancements you'll see have to do with complexity of the passwords for local administrators. Previously, all the way back to version 6.2, you could use LDAP to specify complex passwords. And now in version 8.1.15, you can also use these new set commands. We've got our set MINPWCHARAlphabetic, which will specify the number of alphabetic characters required. Set MINPWCHARNumeric, which will specify the number of numeric characters, and set MINPWCHARSpecial, which will specify the number of special characters. I'll then show you the set invalid password limit, how this has now been changed to 1 to 10. Previously, you could have 0 to 9,999 set as the number of invalid logon attempts you could have before an administrator or node was locked out. And previously the default was 0. Starting in version 8.1.15, the new default is going to be 5. And when we upgrade to version 8.1.15, we will change an existing value of 0 up to 5. And if you had set your invalid password limit somewhere between 11 and 9,999, we'll set that to the new maximum of 10 invalid logons. Another thing I'll show you is how, if you have an administrator or a node who is in session security equals transitional, when you upgrade the Spectrum Protect server to version 8.1.15, we will limit those nodes and admins to only having one invalid password attempt when they log on. So if you currently have administrators or nodes who are defined but have not yet logged on and obtained their security certificates, they will only have one chance to enter the correct password. Another change has to do with register admin. Now the default for register admin will set the session security to strict. This previously was transitional. Once again, this has to do with the security certificates that we exchange when a new administrator logs on. Now you can still go and do a register or update to the administrator session and force them into session security equals transitional if you do want them to obtain a security certificate when they log on for the first time. Okay, with that, let's go through the demo and I'll give you some more details about these new commands as we go. In the Operations Center, you can set the server password complexity variables by going into Servers and then drilling down into Servers. Double-click on the server you want to work with, and then you'll want to go into the Properties page. And underneath the Properties Security section, the first thing you'll see is the invalid sign-on attempts. And previously you could set that from 0 to 9,999. Now you can only set it from 1 to 10, and the default is going to be 5. So remember, when you do the upgrade to the new 8.1.15 version, if you had it initially set at 0, it'll now be set to 5. And if you had it set somewhere between 11 and 9,999, we'll set it to the maximum of 10. The other three new fields you'll see underneath security are the minimum number of alphabetic, minimum number of numeric, and minimum number of special characters that an administrator uses when setting their password. The first thing to know is that the maximum length of the password inside of the Operations Center is going to be limited to 58. So the total of these three fields has to be 58 or less. And the reason that it's 58 is because the Operations Center leaves 6 characters for our multi-factor authentication code if an administrator turns on multi-factor authentication. You can hover over the help for each of those fields And when you're ready to set those fields, you will determine which pieces you want to require inside of a password, and then go ahead and unclick that there on the right hand side, and then enter in a number you want. Now the first time through I'm going to enter in a whole bunch of very large numbers, and you'll see that we do get an error stating that this exceeds our 58 character limit. So now I'm going to go back through and require that an administrator put in at least one alphabetic character, one numeric character, and one special character. Then I'll go ahead and click Save. You can verify the changes by going into the command builder and issuing a query status. You'll see the 3 lines that specify the number of alphabetic, numeric, and special character required for the passwords. Okay, let's switch over to a different Spectrum Protect server and show you how to issue these commands from the admin command line. First, we'll issue a query status, and you'll see that the minimum password length is currently set to 8. Alphabetic characters, numeric characters, and special characters are set to 0. Next, we'll go ahead and issue a set min password character alphabetic, and we'll set it to 1. We'll also issue a set min password character numeric, set it to 1. And then we'll try to do a set min password character special and set it to 57. But you'll see that this is going to fail. And the reason it fails is that the sum of the minimum password alphabetic, numeric, and special cannot exceed 58. We do leave 6 characters available for multi-factor authentication. One thing to note is if the summation of your minimum password alphabetic, numeric, and special characters is larger than your minimum password length, we'll use that summation as our minimum password length. So in this case, I set my minimum password character special to 12, and the alphabetic and numeric were each 1. So now my enforced minimum password length is going to be 14. One other thing to remember is that the invalid password setting will dictate how many invalid passwords can be entered at sign-on before an administrator is locked out. And that default is now 5, and the valid numbers are now between 1 and 10 attempts. Now, once you make any changes to like the invalid password attempts or to the minimum password length or the minimum password alphabetic, numeric, or special characters, the admin will not have to update their password until their password expires or they are forced to reset it. And one way to force them to reset it is to do an update admin *, which will cover all of your administrators, space force password equals yes. One thing to note about this command is that the * will not force a password reset for a server console administrator, as you see here. Now when we log off and this administrator tries to log back in, they will get a message that their password has expired and they will need to enter a new password. Now if they enter a password that is too short, they'll see message ANS0304 easy, the password is too short. If they enter a password that's not complex enough, they'll get a message ANS0307E, the password does not meet requirements. Okay, once logged on again, this time we're going to register an admin, but we are not going to meet the password requirements for that new admin. And you'll see here that it is very specific about which characters were given and which characters are needed in order to meet this password complexity. So now if we redo that register admin, but this time include a number and special character in the password, the admin will be successfully registered. Okay, let's switch gears to another server and I'll show you what happens when you upgrade from a version of Spectrum Protect where your password limit was set to 0. And now when you upgrade to version 8.1.15, During that upgrade, you're going to see this message ANR2175I, invalid password limit, and it is now showing that it is being set to the new default of 5. Remember, if that password limit had previously been between the ranges of 11 to 9,999, we would have reset it at this point in time to our new maximum of 10. So once this upgrade to version 8.1.15 is done and you do a query status, you will see that the invalid password limit is now 5. If you try to issue a set invalid password limit and set it to a new number that's not allowed, like 0, you will get this message ANR2176E, which basically tells you that 0 is no longer valid. Likewise, if you try to do a set invalid password limit and put it to an unsupported number like 9999, you will get the same error showing that the upper limits between 11 and 9999 are no longer supported. Okay, we're going to go ahead and set it at 3. Now, one exception to this invalid password limit is if you have a Spectrum Protect admin or node that prior to upgrading to 8.1.15 is in a transitional state, meaning that they've been registered, but that node or admin has not logged on and obtained a security certificate from the Spectrum Protect server. Then once the upgrade is finished, those admins or nodes that are in the transitional state will only have one chance to log on. So their invalid password limit will be 1. So if I issue a query admin demo1 format equals detailed, we'll see that demo1 is currently in strict mode versus demo2 admin, which is in transitional mode. And if I try to log on as demo1, then I have 3 chances to enter the correct password as defined by the invalid password limit parameter. Once the number of invalid password logon attempts has been exceeded, that admin will be locked out. So in the activity log on the left-hand side, you can see that the server is keeping track of how many invalid passwords were entered, and then that administrator has been locked. So now if that administrator tries to log on for the 4th time, they will see that their ID is currently locked. At this point, you will need to have another Spectrum Protect administrator unlock your admin ID by issuing the unlock admin followed by the admin ID. At that point, the admin should also do an update admin, the admin name force password reset equals yes, so that the administrator can enter a new password. So now on the admin command line, you will see the administrator, when they log on, they're told that their password has expired and that they need to enter a new password. Okay, now let's go to the case of the administrator demo2 who was in transitional mode when we upgraded to version 8.1.15. And in this case, they will only have one chance to successfully log on to the Spectrum Protect server. On the right-hand side, you'll see them logging on. You'll see they issue the incorrect password. And on the left-hand side, you'll see that they have now been locked out. If you register a new admin, so in this case, we'll do register admin demo3 demo, you will see that these administrators are now being put directly into session security equals strict. Now, this used to be transitional. If an administrator is just accessing the operations center, there's no need for a security certificate. However, if you do want them to download a security certificate to their own computer, then you can update that admin and specify session security equals transitional. Or when you initially register the admin, you can specify session security equals transitional. And this update to the register admin command also goes back to that original cert that had to do with the offline dictionary attack. Okay, so in summary, I've shown you our changes to our local administrator passwords. You can now specify a minimum number of alphabetic, numeric, or special characters to be in each password. I showed you our new invalid password limits for logging on administrators or nodes. And I showed you the changes to our session security for the register admin command and the updates that happen to administrators in transitional mode when you upgrade the Spectrum Protect server to this new version 8.1.15. Thank you very much.